Welcome back. All right, news of the day video for all you fine people on the internet. As I find time in between periods to get the content done, and I figured out a way to get the early review done, even though the Winter Classic's going to overlap with the later games because puck drop was kind of late. It's like, I don't know, NHL scheduling's a whole other discussion, but they did have the Smashing Pumpkins. It did sound like Billy Corgan's voice not having the best of days, but at any rate, that game is going on. It's in between the first and second period there, and I'm avoiding spoilers for the early games in this video because I know not everybody's going to have seen what's going on. Although there's some items that will be mentioned from games that have already taken place today, just not mentioning the result. So Austin Matthews has been added to the injured reserve because, of course. But what's the most Toronto about him being added to the injured reserve list is it's retroactive to December 20th, meaning he can come off the IR anytime, so it does not change the day-to-day status, even though he hasn't played for 5 games now, and I don't think that he's going to be back for the next one either, because generally he seems to take 9 games. These day-to-day, not a big deal, don't worry about it kind of injuries with Austin Matthews. I guarantee you there's people who are getting very worried at this point that Matthews may not end up being 100% during this season. If he doesn't get a chance to rest it up. And during the regular season, it's this relentless march, right? Dallas was fined. They were fined $100,000 for the optional practice they had on Boxing Day. So it's a slap on the wrist for the Dallas Stars. Makes sense. So the Stars get fined there. I don't think they'll do it again. Just like Toronto was fined a few years ago for their flight leaving a little bit earlier than it was supposed to. And at any rate, it's just meant to make sure that NHL teams respect that 3-day break. That's really what it is, to make sure, because if you don't, teams will definitely hedge a little bit, and so will players. I think there's players who would be like, it's Boxing Day, sure, I'll go out and skate around. And so the CBA prevents that, and they want to make sure that that is respected. Patrick Allvin, in a revealing interview, basically saying, yep, he needs more from his Stars with the Canucks. I would counter with, we might need more star players on the Canucks. So I'd just throw that out there, especially if they could add one on the blue line. Augustus Bear type, for instance, because once Hughes is out of the lineup, and of course Hronek's already out, the question becomes, okay, so where's the offense from the blue line going to come from, minus Hughes and Hronek? And it is a challenge. That's why I've been talking about Brandstrom here and there, because it feels like Brandstrom might be the best one out of the bunch in terms of hoping for some offense from the blue line. But for the GM to come out and say the team hasn't necessarily played its best every night, I don't think he's saying anything that we haven't seen as fans. And there are definitely star players that are not necessarily playing up to their normal level. I think it comes down to, and I know it's a cliche and it's one that was used by Rick Tocchet, it's playing that full 60 minutes. It's having that focus for the entire game that has been escaping them lately, and it's costing them points and positions in the standings. Jonathan Taves being interviewed, and I mean, Jonathan Taves at this point, he's 36, he's been out of the game for a bit, but he's not ruling out the attempt at a comeback and trying to ramp his way back up to NHL action. Keeping in mind that, health is the most important thing, so making sure you're in good health and all that. I don't know if Jonathan Taves will ever play an NHL game again, but I would think that if he does, officially make that attempt, there are going to be a lot of teams watching to see what his status is and how he's doing. Because in the event that Taves can just get his skating and his conditioning back up to NHL level, not even worried about offense, there will be teams that will call. Because if he was a fourth line center option, there are definitely some teams that would be interested in said option. But it is a long road ahead for Jonathan Taves, so we'll see if he gets there. And I wouldn't expect him to say, well, no, I'm done, because I don't think he feels like he is at this point in time. So fingers crossed for Jonathan Taves. Mason Appleton with a lower body injury for Winnipeg. He is listed as week to week, so my rule with week to week is that's at least 2 weeks. So with Appleton out of the lineup for Winnipeg, the good news is that Winnipeg has a lot of team depth, and I don't think the loss of Appleton should cost them that much in terms of games and points in the standings and all that fun stuff. I'd be surprised if it costs them a game not having Appleton in the lineup because he's not that kind of impact player. But I like Mason Appleton, and so hopefully he's not out that long. 2 weeks, very likely. Interesting note with the Colorado Avalanche. Apparently, the 2005-2006 Dallas Stars are the only team in NHL history to employ 5 forwards from Finland in the same game, and Colorado could tie that record. with the game, and I've got tomorrow, but that would be tonight, honestly, because they're playing against Winnipeg. That game is starting, I believe, at 5 o'clock. So I haven't seen who's going to be in there. So I'll just change that to today. How does that sound? So they've got 5 Finnish forwards with the addition of Parsonen. So Rantanen, Lehkonen, Kiviranta, Inala, as well as Parsonen. The thing is, Drouin's also coming back into the lineup tonight against the Winnipeg Jets. So that may throw off the 5 Finn forwards hopes for the Colorado Avalanche and their fans at this point, or if you're from Finland. But at some point in time, I would think it could very well happen that we see 5 Finnish forwards in the lineup for the Avs. The only thing is, you get all kinds of alliteration there, but it's the Avs. There's no word that starts with F. Hey now, that I can throw in there for more alliteration. So no. We run a family operation here. Puljujarvi clears waivers for the Pittsburgh Penguins, so free to send him down to the AHL. Not really surprised with that. There will always be those who get enamored with the name of a player who was drafted early and will say, I hope my team picks up said player without being familiar with where that player's game is at this point in time. And for Puljujarvi, it makes sense for him to be down in the American Hockey League right now. Patrick Waugh raising some eyebrows today with a goalie pull while they were shorthanded before a defensive zone faceoff. Craig Berube saying he's never seen that before. And I'm going to agree with him. When I saw that goalie pull had taken place, I'm like, but isn't it? Yeah, no, that's a defensive zone faceoff, and they're killing a penalty. Patrick Waugh, I will say this in his defense, though. He pulls goaltenders at random times. There was a game this past week where he pulled the goaltender over 11 minutes, with over 11 minutes left on the clock. And it almost worked against Pittsburgh the other night where they're down by 3. They pull the goalie early with 7.5 minutes left, and they almost ended up tying that game. So I've seen people saying, well, this just shows Raw's not a very good coach. He's just thinking outside the box. The odds are when a team has a lead and they get a power play late in the game, they're probably going to win it anyways. So I don't blame them for thinking outside the box, right? You put your best face-off guy out there, you hope you win the face-off, clear the zone, and then go and set up. So I get it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but I don't think that means that he's doing a poor job. The New York Islanders are definitely a team that's up against it at this point in time. Cole Caufield reaches 100 career goals today. So Caufield, I think they said the 3rd fastest Hab to reach 100 goals in franchise history. Caufield's been excellent for the Montreal Canadiens. I know at times he's underwhelmed in terms of his goal scoring compared to what was expected. Maybe the expectations were a little bit too high. But either way, Caufield at this point in time looks really good. Montreal's playing pretty well. We will definitely talk about that in the review of their game against Vegas today. Tough road trip, though, going through Florida, Tampa, and Vegas. And I'm thinking tomorrow I might want to do a video on the Montreal Canadiens, on the road trip, and on the picture going forward. There's only one game tomorrow. I'm going to talk about that at the bottom of the board here. So Igor Shesterkin's been moved to the injured reserve list. He's got an upper body injury. The New York Rangers calling up Louis Domingue. So Jonathan Quick will get the lion's share of games. Domingue is a good 3rd string option in net. And we'll see if he gets into any games while Igor's out. Shesterkin has not had the best year this year for the Rangers, but a lot of the criticism I'm seeing for him, it feels like earlier this season with Swayman, where everything was Swayman's fault. And it wasn't. And it's not Igor's fault either. That defense with the Rangers, it is scary, and not in a good way. It's scary for their own goaltending. Cam Fowler becomes the first NHL player to play his 1,000th game in an outdoor setup. And so, yeah, the Chicago Blackhawks, the St. Louis Blues, playing the 2025 Winter Classic on New Year's Eve in 2024. I'm bewildered as to why this game wasn't tomorrow on January 1st, when that's traditionally when we've had it, and not in the middle of a 13-game day. I find it so weird. It's in the middle. Like right now, it's the only game on, but it's in the middle of a 13-game day. There are a lot of people right now going to games that they're going to watch in person that might have stayed home and watched that Winter Classic. So there's a lot of eyeballs that may not be watching that game that would be. And so it's weird to me. The whole thing is odd, the way that they schedule all this. And just the fact that on the side of the boards it says 2025 when it is 2024 until midnight tonight. It's just weird. I understand that we're like tomorrow's 2025, so who cares? But it's just one of those things that kind of makes my twitch a little bit. And it just feels like one of the most NHL things possible that the 2025 Winter Classic takes place in 2024 instead of having it on New Year's Day in 2025. They're having it on New Year's Eve in 2024 in the middle of a 13 game day, and it's been raining on and off. So here's to hoping the rain holds off, because if it did start really raining, I'm going to have to review all 13 games together tonight, because that's going to delay that game a bit. But anyways, hopefully that's not the case. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe in the event you may not have done so already. Thank you guys so much for all your support as always. I will talk to you again soon.